As soon as when we finish, she'll try to just plug her out of computer and because it died, and then she'll put it in the open session.
I got the thumbs up from our helpful folks in the tech department. So we are back in open session, and welcome everyone back. Thank you for waiting us out. And pursuant to our discussions in closed session, we now are able to possibly address an issue in open session. If the board wants to grab that process, we have a proposed motion, I guess. And if someone wants to bring that, we could entertain that.
You want to do that now?
Yes.
Okay.
And then we'll do the memo and then the discussion.
For the action.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, if we
Okay,
could.
I'll move to implement the school district of Milton's final offer to the Milton Education Association for the 2023-24 collective bargaining agreement pursuant to Wisconsin statute 111.70, which results in a base wage increase of 3% effective July 1st of 2023.
I second that.
Okay, so Jennifer's motion, seconded by Rick, which she just read, is the action we're contemplating. And now for discussion, I'm going to start with Rich, and he was going to walk through the memo that we all had for digestion there. So
I'll share a few,
I'll invite anyone that wants to follow up on Rich's thoughts.
I'll share a few things from the memo. The board has dual goals of offering competitive salaries and benefits to maintain a highly effective staff while working within balanced budget constraints and showing fiscal responsibility to taxpayers. Both of those things are extremely important, both being competitive with our salaries and benefits, but also living within our means, I guess is how I would describe those. That becomes even more important and more difficult because we use the Badger Conference as our comp group, and of the 15 public school districts in the Badger Conference, we have the 14th highest revenue per member. So we're second to the lowest in revenue per member among the Badger Conference school districts. So it becomes harder and harder for us to find that balance of living within our means, but maintaining competitive salaries and benefits, because both of those things are very important. In addition to that, the biennial budget for the state has resulted in a projected revenue increase of under 1% for us for the coming year, which makes it even harder for us to maintain a balanced budget. Our plan for the coming year in our preliminary budget will be utilizing additional one-time revenues to maintain a balanced budget for the coming year. When we consider annual salary increases for all of our employee groups, our long-term plan has been to have a 2 to 3% increase each year with market adjustments as needed. As I mentioned before, we utilized the Badger Conference schools, 15 schools, as our comp group for any market adjustments. And despite having the second lowest revenue per member of those 15 schools, we currently, our teacher salaries are above the median, with starting salary ranking second of the 15 school districts and the average salary sixth of those 15 school districts. Our HR committee has been in negotiations with the Milton Education Association. We met 5 times to negotiate a base wage increase. During that process, the HR committee moved from its initial offer of 1.5% increase to a 3.0% increase. And the MEA moved from its initial proposal of 6.22% to 4.5%. And at the last negotiations meeting on July 12th, both sides agreed that these were their final offers, 3.0% from the district, 4.5% from MEA, and that an impasse was reached. In cases where an impasse is reached, the districts may implement their final offer to the union. The recommendation is a 3% increase to the base wage, which would raise the base wage from $46,013 to $47,394. It would be a $1,381 increase to the base wage. And then that's to be combined with a step increase of $750. That would result in a minimum increase of $2,130 for each full-time teacher who hasn't reached the final step in our teacher compensation model. When the value of other supplemental pay is included, the snapshot of the overall group costing increase is approximately $625,000, or about a 4.0% overall increase. But we do recognize that the percent increase for individuals within the group will vary. If the board does approve that increase tonight, the HR committee or the HR department and payroll will implement salary changes for each of our teachers for the 23-24 year.
Okay, Rich, thanks for sharing. I want to start off with some thank yous. I'd like to thank all the teaching staff for your patience while we deal with this process as we dealt with the state budget and all that, waiting for all that information to come out. But the entire board also wants to thank every one of you, every one of our employees for everything that you do to make the school district a great place that it is. I'd also like to thank the negotiating team for your acknowledgement of the financial struggles that we have due to what's happening at the state level, so thanks for that. As Rich said, we have a few different goals. One of them is to attract and retain quality staff, but at the same time, we need to be fiscally responsible with our taxpayers' money. We all love to pay more, and in April, we tried to get more money to do that. The voters turned that down. I talked to every single person about it. I know the district did a really good job of trying to educate people to get the word out about that, and so that was unfortunate. We tried, but because of that, it's going to leave us with an increase in revenue of less than 1% for the upcoming year. But the board feels that with this increase, this 3%, that this will still allow us to remain competitive, but also live within our means. I don't know if anyone else has any thoughts on that.
Yeah, I would kind of like to echo what you said, Rick. And first of all, thank you to everybody that was involved in the process. I was a number of years ago. Personally, I stepped back from that. We've had an HR committee that has led the negotiation efforts from the district, supplemented, of course, by the administrative folks that develop all of the numbers that we need to figure out where this process can go. Also, thanks to the teachers, the MEA representation, and the teachers that aren't at the meetings, that offer their input, that reach out to us with letters and stuff. That's incredibly valuable. We need that, we want that, and that all gets factored into what we're doing here. I think I can speak for the board and say that while we thank everybody for that, this is a tough deal. We would love to be able to meet the salary demands or pay more or whatever, but we've got some limitations, and that's the struggle that we have here is how do we do this? We know we've got limited resources, we'd like to pay more, and we've got to marry those two together. And through a long process, the board, especially myself personally, I feel like this is the place that we can land as close to those two things at one time. It's never going to be quite as amenable to one side or the other as we like. This is the middle piece, and I think it's responsible from the board standpoint for budgeting reasons, and particularly for future budgets, which as you get into this process and learn it, there is a very daunting responsibility here to not put the district in a financial position that it's unsustainable. And so much that if the emotion figures in and we decide, doggone it, 1 year we're just going to pay more, etc., that has big implications down the road. And it's an important thing to be disciplined from our side of the table to not let that become burdensome. So kudos to the board for keeping that focus, and at the same time, being sympathetic to what our teachers need, why they need it, and we obviously live some of the same inflationary issues that you folks do. So we don't want to be, deaf to those concerns, and we want you to bring those to us, and that we want that input, and it factors in. So I'm going to support this motion, and hopefully, we've got work to do, right? This discussion doesn't change or doesn't end. This process happens again, and I don't have any idea what those numbers are, but we want that discussion, and we want overarching message here is, you folks are incredibly important to us, incredibly valued, and I want the board to know that we value our teachers immensely. I don't know if anyone else has thoughts.
I said I wasn't going to speak, which is fine. I just want to thank Rick and everybody on the HR committee and everybody on that side table on the negotiations for doing it in a very civil and kind way. That's awesome. And that's the Milton I know and I love. And I appreciate the fact that you can have this difficult discussion. Everybody in this board will tell you, you're all amazing. You all deserve everything and more.
I'll just add real quick. I had on my list too to thank the MEA, especially the co-leaders this year. Rick, for your leadership. This was my first time doing the negotiation side of things, and the second time I've had to vote on this, and I was hoping it'd get easier, and it surely didn't. So next year I hope the CPI is a lot lower. We can have a lot easier, quicker discussion. Having said that, it is tough, and I do too support it with all the other, budgetary things that we have to focus on and deal with. So, again, just thank you guys, thank Rick and the admin team for their efforts too.
I'd like to echo that as well. We'll support it, and obviously as a mom, with a student in the district, I value the teachers at every level. I've seen them go from Harmony to Northside to the middle school, now the high school. It's very daunting and scary. But again, understanding that we are within our means, we have to live, and we have to recognize the value that our teachers bring to the community and to our students, while ensuring that we are not setting ourselves up for future collapses or reductions. And it's a balancing act, and it's trying to find where that line is that we can manage moving forward, and ensuring that we retain the staff, because you guys are amazing. And I thank the board for the negotiations that they did, and the MPA as well. It's my first go around too, so it's been an interesting learning experience.
If I could, there's one more thing that I'd like to share, and also echo what the board member said about thanking the negotiations team and the board's HR committee. I think that both groups did a really nice job of presenting their information, having thoughtful conversations with each other, and while not reaching an agreement, also not going to a place that was disrespectful at any time. So that's very much appreciated. And the other thing, I heard two different board members use the term daunting in different ways. Joe talked about our daunting financial situation. Tracy talked about the daunting going from middle school to Northside middle school to high school. But I think I can't stress enough the daunting financial situation that our district is in after years of funding from the state that hasn't come close to keeping up with inflation. We've talked for the last couple of years about the approaching fiscal cliff. The fiscal cliff this year, we were able to temper that for this current year, in large part because of ESSER money and one-time money that we have available. But we know that if we don't have more revenue, we're going to have to make significant budget reductions for the coming year. And so we'll be working twofold on identifying over the coming year to what level that will be based on our enrollment numbers that come in this fall and financial projections, and also based on what our resources look like down the road. But unless something changes at the state level, if our resources don't change, we're going to have to make significant reductions down the road, and it's going to be a difficult situation for us. So we appreciate the conversation and the work that everybody has done to find that balance between competitiveness for our staff, because we highly value everybody, but we have phenomenal staff. I can't say enough. All of our teacher group and all of our employee groups, what a great group we have. People that work for us, but we also have a financial situation that we have to live with.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor, and if anyone else has thoughts, I would entertain those now. And if we don't, I will proceed to vote. I will repeat the motion first, so its importance. It was Jennifer's motion, seconded by Rick, to implement the School District of Milton's final offer to the MEA for 23-24 collective bargaining agreement pursuant to Wisconsin Statute 111.7, which results in a base wage increase of 3%, effective July 1st, 2023. The roll call voted. I will bounce to my right and ask John. Yes. Tracy?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Joe is yes. Jennifer?
Yes.
And Ed?
Yes.
Dave is absent, 6-0, that motion passes.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Thank you. Rick and Tracy's motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for coming. And thank you for waiting us out.